Okay. All right. Now let's just let it go live. I hope everyone is having a beautiful, beautiful, wonderful, magnificent, amazing Sunday. Yeah, okay, I guess that lighting's gonna have to do for now because I'm pretty sure. Oh, sorry, that was my chair. Oh, that'll work. There we go. We'll get some different color lights going on here. Giving us a few more minutes. So if you're tuning into the replay, per usual, just go ahead and fast forward it to approximately 3 minutes in. I will more than likely have that in the description, but I trust it that you guys can find the starting point. So oh, I need to do one thing before we get started here. All right. Okay, just changing my... Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I'm so glad you could join me, Mina. Yeah, just changing up the scenery for the times that I'm able inside. So, yeah, I'm so grateful you could join. So, this should be going live around now to about 30 more seconds in. But I just want to say welcome to everyone that's tuning in. My name is Éoaccí, and this is the Human Condition podcast series. You will be noticing over probably the next few weeks that my YouTube channel will be undergoing some reconstruction. I kind of went ahead and updated it a little bit before I started today, but I'm probably going to end up changing it a little bit more in terms of the images and the background and just the way the videos are formatted. So also a lot of my older videos are more than likely no longer going to be accessible. So if you, I don't know, if you ever want to check out some of the older videos at any point in time, I will have it to where if you have the link, then you can access the video. But the majority of accessibility is going to be in the recent videos, the recent lives, and the recent uploads. So I just want to let everybody know that before I get started here. So I know some of those are like light language videos and channeling videos, but those are not going to be on the accessibility of my page anymore. I'm going to have my page dedicated to what we're discussing here today, which is concerning identity shifting. It's concerning neuroscience. It's concerning neuropsychology. And the one thing I want to delve into today, and this is something that it's been such a major shift for me, because if I look at my life a month ago, and this is also something that's come up in conversations with like my clients and friends, if I look at my life a month ago, I can look at how I was approaching certain things in my life and how I'm approaching them now. And one of the key factors in terms of how I was approaching my life is I was always asking for clarity. I was always asking, like praying to God and asking to receive answers. I was looking to my guides to receive answers. So I was always looking out there to receive some sort of feedback to let me know that I was on the right track, that I was doing things okay, that I basically had things under control. Because in terms of the way that my identity is always used to operating, it really likes to feel in control. And this is also a very, very common practice for all of us, is to always be chasing after what we think we need to know in order to make a decision. And I wanted to remind everyone, just as the title of this video says, you already have the answers to the questions that you're asking. And so for me, what's really, really shifted is recognizing that I don't need to ask anyone for questions. I don't even need to ask God I don't even need to ask God for anything. Like, I don't need to ask God for clarity. I don't even need to pray to God for anything, because what I've realized, and this is coming back to something that I kind of was playing around playing around with stepping away from about a month ago, which was that, I've always believed that I am the creator and I hold the source and I am the power and I'm the one that creates my reality, which is true. But as I started shifting into a deeper relationship with God, I started coming into the relationship with God as if like God was going to fill that void for me, and that somehow that God was going to be the course of action, and that it was almost like if I just pray enough and if I just go deeper into my relationship with God, then things will show up better for me. But I've realized that that's not the case. Like, that's not God's job. God has already created everything that exists. It's up to me to determine which frequency of reality, which level of my own conscious awareness that I want to be attuned to, so that I can experience God's creation, so that I am not looking to God to give me everything, and I'm not looking to God to solve everything for me, and I'm not looking to my guides, and I'm not looking to someone else to solve the problems for me. I'm looking at my relationship to myself and to my reality and asking myself, what am I focusing on? Where am I giving my attention? Am I just focusing on my reality as a source of problems, or am I actually looking at my reality and just seeing how beautifully blessed I am? Because just that shift alone significantly decreases what I am focused, not just what I'm focused on, but how I'm focused. And if I see that I'm surrounded by blessings, then I'm not chasing after God, and I'm not chasing after guides, and I'm not chasing after spirituality as a way to fix my life. I am simply embracing my life, and I'm not looking at trying to change my life or change my reality because my life is so bad. I'm literally living in love with my life right now. I've decided right now that I already have everything I need right now. So if I have decided, if I have been decisive, if my conviction is that everything is here right now, then I don't need answers. Nothing needs to be solved, and I don't need to fix a problem because there are no problems. This has been a major shift for me, and it's something I've been communicating to others recently in the last week, is to remember what you're placing your attention and your awareness on. That's your creative force. That's your power. And a lot of times what we tend to do is we have conscious beliefs, conscious ways of thinking, and we have some subconscious beliefs and subconscious ways of thinking. Our subconscious ways of thinking are directly connected to an emotional response or an emotional reaction. So I could say that I consciously know that money is just a tool, that money is an extension of me. I could consciously say that. But subconsciously, if I've always believed that money is hard to come by, that you have to work really hard to make money, that money is always scarce, or that people with a lot of money are somehow evil and that they don't support people in need, then I'm going to automatically prevent myself from experiencing a massive influx of abundance, because although consciously I may recognize money in a certain way, subconsciously I have an emotional attachment to lack. I have an emotional attachment to scarcity, which means that I am consciously saying one thing, but subconsciously attracting another. This is really important because most people are not aware of their subconscious attractions. They're not aware of their subconscious beliefs. And also, one of the things you guys have heard me talk about on here, and this is again something I've shared with clients and it's something I've shared with friends, is I've gone really deep in the last 6 months. As you've heard me talk about, I've done a lot of really deep dive, really deep inner work, shadow work, inner child healing. And what I've realized is that at the end of the day, that taught me how to be responsible for myself in a way that I really never was. But I've also realized that just believing that I needed to do all of that work took me on the pathway of experience where I put in all of that work and I invested all of that time. The way that I'm approaching it now, and that is from a stance of I already have all the answers. I already know what comes next. I don't need to ask for clarity because I am deciding right now very clearly on what I choose to experience. That doesn't require me to connect with my inner child. That doesn't require my inner child to be healed. That doesn't require any deep dive into self-development or self-discovery. Now, that also greatly contradicts what I've been focusing on for the last few months. But I'm sharing that here with you because I realize that there is a level of that that's really powerful and really impactful. But if I want to behave and act differently, I simply choose to. Now, having an awareness of my subconscious beliefs that are energetically and emotionally attracting a certain experience to me is very powerful. But that's not where change happens. Change happens when I am no longer reacting to what my 3D is showing me, because my 3D is simply just a hallucination. It's a hologram. It is a hallucination of where I have placed my awareness in my past versions of events. So in previous events in my past, I was focusing my awareness in a very specific way. I was always looking at the worst case scenario in my mind, coming from that impending doom, expecting the worst to happen. And so my life has been consistently showing me where my attention has always been. The 3D is just the material space where I paint my picture. Ultimately, I am the creator. I am the source. So I am the source of the picture. There is nothing out there, as you all know. But again, knowing that out there is really in here is different than literally living from the experience of understanding it. And what I mean by that is when you start to realize that you truly are the source, that you do not require God to step in, that you don't require your guides to step in. You don't require some spiritual activation to massively shift your reality for the better. When you just realize that you yourself are the only one that is not letting yourself choose, it's like if you most of us, so I want to share this before I even go into that. I did not realize how much I was avoiding making a choice, even when it comes to just like revamping my YouTube channel. Deep within my subconscious beliefs, there was a fear of being seen. Like if I'm seen, if I become more recognized, if I become more popular, then that's going to bring on haters. People are going to start attacking me. People are going to start judging me. And even though I was not consciously thinking those things, subconsciously, there was a fear where I have had those thoughts, or I have had thoughts in a similar way around being visible. And so since I have started to choose to become more visible, since I've started invisibility, not necessarily in like uploading every day or every week or doing lives every day, but just being visible in some way, whether it is maybe doing a live or doing a reel or two. I do a lot of reels on Instagram and posts on Instagram. But as I'm going through the process of this revamp, that's me taking that intention and that choice and deciding that I am going to follow through with it. And I'm not only deciding that I'm going to follow through with it through physical action, but internally, emotionally, I have already decided that it's safe. And so I'm not waiting for people, I'm not waiting for my lives to show me millions or thousands of views. I'm not waiting to have thousands more followers to be validated that it's happening. I'm literally deciding it internally. I've already chosen that it's happening, and I'm just simply enjoying the experience of what I've already chosen. And so I'm just simply choosing to be creatively constructive with my time and just, revamp how everything looks. Along with that, I'm being visible. So now that I've chosen that it's safe and I have decided that I am doing this, then every single day I'm taking steps to reinforce what I've already decided. So because my 3D is simply just showing me my past places, my past focus and my past place of awareness, if I wait for my 3D to show me, then I will never experience what I am wanting to experience, at least not in the way that I am desiring to. I'm always going to experience what I want. Let me rephrase that. I always get what I want. But what I want right now is different than the way I've always placed my awareness, which means that I have to focus my awareness in alignment with the version of me that is living the reality that I desire right now. So I focus my awareness on how easy it is to receive money. I focus my awareness every single day on seeing the abundance around me. I focus my awareness on how easy it is to create the content. I'm always choosing to place my awareness on gratitude, on ease, on acceptance, and just simply allowing everything to just reflect that back to me, because that's all the 3D is a reflective surface for my own beliefs. Let me read this comment from Mina. I wonder if we all do need to dive into these things, though, to even be able to get to the realization that we don't need it. I mean, this is where I stand on that. You can, if that's what you believe. If you believe that that is the way you need to go, then that is the way you'll go. Where I'm at right now, though, is that is there anything wrong, or is there anything wrong with doing that? No. Does that bring forward a beautiful experience? Absolutely. But so does simply not doing it. So I've realized that it's not, one way is obviously not better than the other, right? And we've had similar conversations around that this week, Mina, right? You can do the deep dive into inner child work. You can do the shadow work. And I'm not saying that it's not valuable, because anything that anyone chooses to do is valuable. It's simply that if you desire, or if you want, you can choose a little more direct line into an identity shift right now. And what that means is that if I believe that because of the way my identity, let's say because my identity has always lived in lack, my identity has always lived in scarcity, my identity has always lived in fear, and if I believe that in order to get out of fear into safety, that I have to get to know that identity, then I'm going to take the steps that carry me down that path. But ultimately, I am the source of everything in my reality. So if I want to get to know myself as the source, I don't need to visit with that old identity. I can simply just acknowledge that I am the source and get to know myself as the source. Does that make sense? So instead of getting to know myself as the identity that was scared, that grew up feeling abandoned, that grew up feeling full of lack and scarcity and unworthiness and not enoughness and helpless, I'm not saying not to acknowledge those parts of yourself, because through the process of identity shifting, the way that you have always thought and the way that you have always subconsciously believed and felt about yourself, about the world around you, about other people, that stuff's going to come forward, right? We know this. You don't have to find or figure out what you believe. You already know. It's just that the majority of the time, we're not even aware of what we're carrying in our subconscious. But when we make a conscious decision to shift the focus of our awareness, guess what happens? All of that subconscious gunk, if you will, starts coming to the surface, because we have now decided to shift out of one frequency of awareness into another frequency of awareness. So you have one frequency meeting another frequency, and as these two frequencies meet, the new frequency is going to basically be, every single time it's going to be asking you, is this really where you want to be? And what that's doing is it's asking you through the old awareness, where your attention maybe was focused on worst case scenario, or like for me, when I was caught up in the spiritual ego for so long, and I see this, across the board all the time, is this belief that, and I know we've had this discussion, Mina, is that if I am spiritual, I'm not allowed to be successful, basically, right? Is this self-sabotaging, self-sacrifice, that money is evil, money isn't allowed. If you're really here to help people, coach people, and support people, you're not allowed to do it and make money. You've got to give it all away for free, because that's the way the light, it works. Like, that's how the light asks you to serve, is the light asks you to serve through self-sacrifice. But the light is God. And why would God Source Universe want you to sacrifice? Why would God Source Universe want you to suffer? Why would God Source Universe want you to go without? That doesn't make any sense. And so not only that, but when you start to really embody the subconscious and emotional connection to money and success as a gateway of light, as a gateway of God, because it is all a part of the creation, then you start realizing that there was never really any evil or wrongdoing or bad or negativity. There was simply just the belief in those things, which then therefore connected us all in some way to an opportunity of experiencing it, right? So, and if you've been here with me on this channel before, you've heard me talk about, like I've referenced Elon Musk a lot, and I know people have, their own thoughts and beliefs around Elon, and that's fine. I'm not talking about him as a person specifically. I'm just going to use him as a point of reference. He is the richest man in the world. And a lot of people look at that level of wealth and they have a lot of anger, a lot of envy. They hate him because he is the richest man in the world. But I can guarantee you, if that were you, you would see things quite differently, because he is simply a source of creative output. Whether you agree with the output or not, he is outputting something that the collective is saying, yes, I need that, or I want to invest in that, or the government, or whatever. But here's another link into that fence where a lot of people get stuck, is they're wanting to escape the matrix, and they're wanting to escape the mind control. And they're talking about the government and the matrix and all of these things like Elon and money, and they're speaking about it from the position, from the belief that all of that is bad. So if you are the source and you run around talking about, oh, I know I'm the source, I know I'm the creator, and yet everything in your reality, everything that you see is a part of your sensory perception. You cannot visually see anything out there that you yourself have not projected due to your own beliefs and your own inner state and the frequency that you're transmitting. All of that's your identity, and your reality is the reflection and the extension and the creation of your identity. So Elon is a part of that. The government is a part of that. The matrix is the mental capacity in which you explore your creative identity. And so if you label it as bad, you're at war with your own interactive source of creation. And so to live in alignment live in alignment with God, live in alignment with yourself as source, and get to know yourself as the source, then get to know yourself as the source. Stop asking questions as if you can't make a decision without the answer. Stop treating what's out there as something that goes against you. Stop projecting your own inability of acceptance onto the world around you and onto other people, because it's not Elon that you're mad at. It's the amount of money that you believe that you can't access. It's the lifestyle that you believe you don't deserve. The government is just a representation of some form of control that you have decided you're inherently against. All of these things are simply an extension of your own imagination. And that's all any of this is your imagination at play. It's a dream. Right? We talk about this. It's a dream. It's a holographic projection. Your eyes are literally receiving information, environmental cues. Your senses are receiving and projecting the image that you say internally that you want to interact with. And so no matter what it is, you are the source of that in your own way. Now, I'm not saying there are not other people out there interacting with you, and I'm not saying that you don't have interactions with other people, but you got to remember, they're in their dream and they're seeing the version of you that they think or that they believe in. So they're seeing the version of you that they think about. They're seeing the version of you that they believe in. So you're not really interacting with another person. It's your dream. It's your universe. You're hallucinating your own world. You're interacting with the version of them that you think exists, right? So when it comes to identity shifting and it comes to really experiencing the life that you want, there was a comment, there's a mentor that I used to interact with, and she's a multimillionaire, multi-business owner. I mean, like beautiful, beautiful, she's got the Bentley, she's got the helicopter or private plane, she's got all the things. And I've worked with her team and stuff before. And I saw a post on her page on Instagram, and I saw some comments on there. And as I was going through the comments, and she was talking about I think it was like a manifestation, like live like this or something that she was offering. And as she was talking about that and promoting it, this one lady came on there and left a comment and said, okay, well, you're talking about living from the state of already being a millionaire. But what if you're looking at your bank and it's negative, your credit cards are maxed out and you can't take out another loan, and you have more bills to pay for the rest of the month, you need to buy food, all of these things are things that need to be taken care of, and there's no quote unquote money in the bank or that's accessible to you right now. How in the world are you supposed to live from that state? And she came back and gave her a response. A few other people did, and then I left a response. And it was really beautiful because the response I gave her, which is the one I'm going to give you here now, got the most responses out of everyone. And a few people reached out to me personally. To live as if you have everything right now means that you need to be in love with everything that you have right now. Because everything that you have right now is a part of your life that at one point believed that it didn't have love, that it couldn't receive love. And abundance is a frequency without distortion. It is a frequency of love, of acceptance, of openness, of compassion. When you are open, you receive. When you look around you, when you look at what you don't have, you are closed. You're not open. And of course, when you're constantly used to living from that place where you look around, you look at your bank accounts, you see what you don't have, you see how you lack money, you see how you're in debt, you're seeing the version of your reality that you always have. You're not familiar. That's not a familiar state to abundance, and it doesn't feel like abundance. And so one of the ladies said, well, go drive around a luxury neighborhood, go walk around in the luxury mall, like in the, like Chanel, and just go get a feel for what it's like to be in luxury. And she said, well, yeah, but that doesn't really make me feel like I'm living in luxury. It actually makes me feel like I'm lacking luxury. And I responded to that, and I said, well, because luxury isn't familiar to you yet. Your nervous system does not believe that you can safely receive yet. You safely receive when you are in love with what you already have. How can you receive more if your nervous system is already saying, well, we can't receive more because right now, it's like too much. Everything is too much. Being in debt is too much. Not having enough is too much. You're actually saying you have too much debt. I have too much not enoughness. I have too much lack. There's too much of it and I don't know what to do. Your nervous system doesn't see that it's safe. You can't allow more in when you're actually pushing it away by already determining that it's not available. And you guys, I know this is stuff that we all hear, and I've heard it a million times. And the things that I'm going to say this a million times too. What I'm sharing here isn't new. You don't need new information. You need to learn to take the information that you've been receiving and apply it long enough so that you can consistently begin to receive your life from the place of an identity that is in love, that is in abundance, that is in prosperity, that is in acceptance. And so long as you hold a perspective that you need to push people away, that you need to push things away, that somehow it's not safe to receive, because even me just believing that my mom can't approach me and ask me questions if I'm in a certain mood, that's my nervous system saying it's not safe to receive. That directly ties to a state of lack. Because right now I lack the capacity to receive that question, which means I'm not in a space of acceptance. I can't receive her. I can't receive more. And if I can't receive more, then I can't receive more. And source is infinite. Abundance is the frequency of source. And people are walking around with a distortion in their own frequency and they don't even know it, right? You're talking about wanting all these things, but underneath you have an emotional attachment to lack. You have an emotional attachment to scarcity. You have an emotional attachment to needing things to be a certain way before you feel safe. What I'm saying is that if you determine you're safe right now, you are accessing from the frequency of source without distortion. You are saying right now with conviction, determination, and definitive acceptance that no matter what, you love life as it is right now. So if you want to start seeing your reality shift, if you want to start seeing your health shift, if you want to start seeing your finances shift, if you want to start seeing your relationships shift, you have to first be in love with the life that you're living right now. Because the version of you that you want to experience is a version of you that's abundant, right? Where there's more peace, there's more love, there's more prosperity. But if you're not choosing that right now, how can you eventually in your quote unquote future self experience it? So when you consistently give your awareness, your attention, which is the force of your creation, when you consistently give the frequency of source, the frequency of creation, when you constantly focus it through the lens of acceptance and toxic gratitude and unconditional acceptance, then you begin to acknowledge that you are already safe. That you're not waiting for the next paycheck to feel safe. You're not waiting for the next relationship to feel loved. You're not waiting before you choose to feel safe. You're choosing it right now. So whenever you determine you're safe, then money begins to see that you are available. Money is again a frequency. It's an extension. Like sword masters will tell you that when you're training, the sword is an extension of your body. It is an extension of your arms, okay? It's not an external object that you need to try to control. And this is exactly how people approach money. They're trying to control how money comes to them instead of transmitting the frequency of being available for money, which means that there is no, oh, do XYZ or ABC first and then it'll happen. What I'm saying here now is no, just choose, just make the choice now that the money is already available and approach your life every single day as if it is so. Literally live in love and in gratitude with the way life is right now. It doesn't mean that you don't take action in the physical. It means that the state of being that you are embodying as you do so is transmitting a different signal. And you're not just trying to control how money comes to you. You are now the vessel. You're now the vehicle in which it comes to you easily, and you don't even have to plan for it. Like, that's how money's coming to me right now. Like it's coming from multiple sources. It's actually not even coming from the main source of income that I had identified with for the longest time. It's not even coming from the place that I assumed it would come from when I was trying to force money to come to me in a certain way. It's coming with me without me having to put in an excess amount of effort. I'm not working all day every day. I'm not working 6-7 days a week. I'm not working like that. So I'm not working like that, but money is coming. And money is coming because money sees that I am safe and that I can receive. And money comes through fear too. Make no mistake about it. People receive money every single day in fear. That's how we have learned how to receive money, is through the frequency of I have to do this so that I can live the life that I want, or I have to do this so that I can feel safe, or I have to have enough money in case of an emergency. But when you're living from the frequency of source, the money comes before the emergency, or it comes right at the same time. And so therefore you didn't have to plan, you didn't have to prepare, you didn't have to save, you didn't have to do any of those things. You just simply were living in love and living in gratitude and living in the frequency of the alignment of source, acknowledging that you can receive whatever you want to receive because you already are. You've just been doing it from the belief that everything had to be hard, that that you had to do things a certain way or else. It's kind of like meditation. A lot of times, I know, at least for myself, when I first started meditating, I thought there was a right way and a wrong way. And I was always concerned that I wasn't doing it the right way until I learned that there was no right or wrong way to meditate. Just like there's no right or wrong way to manifest, because you're always manifesting. It's you're asking yourself, what frequency am I transmitting? What frequency are my manifestations coming through on? Are they coming through the frequency of fear, or are they coming through the frequency of love? Because the identity that is transmitting through fear has a very specific practice day to day. The habits, the way of thinking, the way of feeling, the subconscious beliefs, like your convictions, the way you make a choice. You're very solidified in that identity. So it's going to require you letting go of how you've always done things. It's going to require you having faith and trust that you are going to receive the support that you need. It's always going to show up. And if you look around you right now, I guarantee you're going to see that that's always been the case. But I know at least myself and everyone that I have always been around and talked to and connected with, we've all been conditioned to believe that we in some way have to work hard, or that we don't have enough. And even I believed that this process required a lot of effort, that I needed to go through. I remember when I worked with my mentors the last few months, and like I said, I've done a really, really big deep dive over the last 6 months into self-development, into cognitive behaviors, into neuroscience, into neuropsychology, deeper than I've ever been before. And it's also why I wasn't as active or as visible. And now that I've come out the other end of it, and I was reflecting on all the money I've invested, which is, tens of thousands of dollars, what was it I gained from that? Now, I loved every minute of it. Don't get me wrong. I am so, so grateful for every experience that I had. I am so grateful for everything that I learned. And above all else, I learned how to be responsible with my time. And I learned to be responsible with my emotions. Now, how I learned to be responsible with my time and my emotions, I already knew prior to working with my mentors. But this is why I'm always an advocate of working with someone, is because I just simply wasn't willing to take what I know and apply it. So when you have someone there that's holding you accountable, if you're really wanting to experience your life differently, you're going to appreciate that. You're going to value it. One thing I did realize that, though, is with the deep dive, as I came out the other side of it, things were still, it was almost like things were getting worse. And I realized that I had made this commitment internally that I was going to start showing up differently. But deep down, I was terrified of actually making that leap. I was terrified of actually just fully letting go of those subconscious attachments, which were these emotional attachments to just maintaining a sense of control over everything. Like there were certain parts of my reality that I really, really wanted to maintain a certain way, because it made me feel like I was doing something that I needed to do. So my subconscious and my conscious beliefs were not in alignment. And I would say the last key factor for me is when God started coming back into it for me, and I was praying, and I kept looking to God to give me the answers, and I kept asking God, like, God, why, what is happening? Why is there no movement? And it simply just boiled down to, I wasn't willing to let go of focusing on my life in the way that I always had been. I simply kept showing up and doing things the same way. And so finally I said, you know what, I'm going to play in this. I'm just going to pretend that I am a stranger to my reality, and things just don't affect me in the way that they have before. And I'm going to act like I'm a stranger to all of this. Like I don't have an emotional attachment. It doesn't mean anything to me. I'm not carrying around the weight of my childhood anymore. I'm just going to act as if it doesn't affect me. And I'm just going to love it, right? I'm just going to play. I'm just going to pretend it's just going to be a game, because it already is. That was the best decision I ever made. And I just started being toxically grateful, toxically compassionate, toxically loving. And I don't mean false positivity, you guys. What I'm talking about is in the depths of feeling this anger and this frustration and this hate and this fear and this resentment. I was in those feelings, but I was also at the same time holding myself in a state of gratitude. I was feeling it, and I was loving the fact that I could sit there and experience those feelings. So instead of trying to push it down, instead of trying to figure it out, instead of trying to fix it, instead of trying to find the answer, instead of trying to go back into my past, instead of trying to do any of that, I just simply sat and loved the feeling. Because I realized that I was still running from being fully present with the feeling. Because like myself and a sister, a friend of mine that's on this call, and I don't know if she's still here, we were discussing one of the things that used to come up for me is self-doubt. And it came up really big with my mentors. I had a lot of self-doubt. Like when I would go to speak, it's so much self-doubt, like to the point of hating how I sounded, hating my voice. And I had a lot of resentment towards myself and a lot of self-judgment just really coming back on me from that. And I realized that it wasn't so much that I was afraid of what I was hearing. I was afraid to feel what I thought was going to come next. And so I was still in this hyper vigilant state of like catastrophizing everything. So I just started choosing to be with it and love it. And now, no matter what anyone says, no matter what emotional state someone's in, no matter what anything is, no matter how it's happening, I'm just loving it. And where I am right now compared to last month is a completely different version of my reality. The events that used to stress me out, that used to keep me up, that used to cause such anxiety and this like impending doom in my nervous system, I don't feel that. Because I know, I have already decided internally that it will only work out one way. And like, for instance, I will say this as I begin to wrap this up here. You guys have heard me talk about Bruiser, my soul dog, right? Love him. He's just my heart. I love him. He's my baby. I don't have children, but he's like my child. So when Bruiser was refusing to go outside and go to the bathroom, I was always speaking, thinking, feeling, believing. My conviction, my attention was always focused on needing him to go outside because my attention was always on the fact that he had not. So what was I experiencing? More of the fact that he had not, because my attention was always going to he has not gone outside. So I just decided he has. No, he's gone outside, because I can literally connect to memories where he's gone outside. I can connect to memories where he's gone outside and he's gone to the bathroom and he's healthy and everything's perfect. And literally I can connect to those because they have happened. And I don't need to try to make them happen because they've already happened. And since they've already happened and everything is layered on top of itself like an onion, these layers of reality are already here right now. I don't need to try to get to that point in the future, and I don't need to try to change it from the past. I just simply need to acknowledge it from right now so that right now it can meet me in the present as soon as possible. And my physical canvas can then reflect back to me what I already know to be true. And I already know that he has been outside. Not that he's going, that he's been. He's already been. It's already happened. I'm remembering it from the past. It's already happened. It's complete. So guess what? Now, every single day, he is going outside without fail. That's a complete 180 from him not going outside for like 2 days. And that was consistent for months. And prior to that, the years prior, there was consistent for months at a time. The majority of the last few years, that has been the normal. I decided on a new normal, just like I decided on a new normal with money, just like I decided on a new normal with relationships, with friendships, with clients, with business. I decided. So my question to you is, what are you deciding? Are you deciding that you are already rich? Are you deciding that you already are loved? Are you deciding that you're already complete and whole and you do not need to heal? Are you deciding that you're already healthy? And if you are, or if you are not, I would invite you to do so. And once you decide it, then approach your reality, approach every experience as if you already know that to be true. If you say, "Oh, I know I'm healthy," and you affirm that you're healthy, but subconsciously you believe that you need to heal, then your body cannot reflect to you the physical surface, the physical domain, the physical channel in which all things pass through. It cannot represent health if internally your subconscious is emotionally attached to being sick. So if you have an emotional attachment to being sick, then you will not experience wellness. You won't. And, Bruno mentioned something here about reinvesting your earnings. I want to applaud that because that's so powerful. Just really quickly, and I'm going to I've got 2 more points and I'm going to close this up. Money is not something to be stored away. Money, just like the sword, is an extension of you. You're not going to store your arm to try to prevent it from getting hurt. You're not gonna stow the sword away because you're afraid that it's gonna get nicked. Like you don't store the money. You don't save it for a rainy day. You reinvest it. You keep it in circulation. That's love. That's abundance, because what comes in always goes out. And then you're so grateful that you can actually invest the money. You're grateful. Like, if I get to pay a bill, I'm grateful. I get to pay that bill. That is, man, I am so freaking excited to pay my bills because I am so grateful that I get to pay them. I'm so grateful that I get to return that money back into circulation. I get to return it with love. I get to send it back out so it can come back to me with love. And so anytime money comes through, passes through you, reinvest it or spend it. Let it be in circulation. That's like sucking the oxygen from the room. Don't strangle it. Don't put a chokehold on it, because there is nothing in your life that will not work out based on how you already believe that it will. So instead of preparing and saving for the worst, just assume that everything is already working out for you. But don't just assume that. Embody that it's working out from the best, meaning you're already seeing that the money's always going to show up exactly when you need it. You know exactly how much it's going to be. You don't need to know where it's coming from. That's fine. The field's got that worked out. God, source, universe got you got that worked out behind the scenes. It doesn't matter where it comes from, and you don't have to get it. You don't have to envision it perfectly. It's not about that. It's about simply being the frequency of knowing, of deciding, the conviction of the decision. The decision isn't choosing to eat healthy because you want to feel healthy. That's not the decision. All right? That's an extension of it, but that's not where the health comes from, okay? The health is a state of deciding. You have decided, you are convicted that you're healthy. And then every single day you approach your life as if you already are. So if you've already decided you're healthy, just like if you've already decided you're wealthy, why would you be trying to heal a body that's sick if you've already decided you're healthy? You cannot. That's the distortion in the frequency. So when your frequency is still distorted, then you will not experience the conscious thing that you believe to be true. You will experience the subconscious emotional attachment to what you believe to be true, because the emotions are as Abraham Hicks says, the high-flying disc in which everything goes out and comes back in on. So send your thoughts out with love, allow them to come back to you with love, and send them out with the conviction, the decision that it's already done. Okay? And when you have a like right now, I'm feeling a little pressure in my head, maybe I could say, oh, it might be like a headache or a migraine coming on. There's a part of me that would previously start feeling some anxiety and this impending doom of, oh shit, I'm going to feel really bad in about 30 minutes to an hour and I'm not going to be able to function. Instead of that, I'm like, oh, okay, well, whatever my body experiences is simply just a part of what's moving through. And I have to remember that I am healthy, and that's not a sign that I'm unhealthy. That's just simply an experience. And if I embrace it with love, then my body is not always going to be trying to fight against it's not going to be trying to fight against sickness and trying to stay well, because that's That's the way I feel like we've kind of all been coming from, is like, oh, I need to fight to stay well. I need to fight to stay healthy, and therefore we're always in fight or flight. But health is a is a form of being in rest, and therefore it's parasympathetic. It's not sympathetic. So if you're trying to fight sickness, then you're never going to experience wellness. Just like if you're trying to fight against lack and you're trying to save a bunch of money and you're trying to prevent the worst case scenario, you're not going to experience abundance. Or you're going to have to work really, really, really hard to have enough money to be able to feel safe and secure. And even then, you won't. You'll never have enough to feel safe. Because when you're fighting to have enough, no matter how much money's in the bank, and I've had this, when I had thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in the bank, I would, when that number would get below a certain amount, I would start to feel anxious, like, shit, I gotta know when the next check's coming. I gotta know where this next amount's coming from. Because if it gets below a certain number, I start to freak out. And that's because it was never about me having the money. It was my fear of never having enough. So could I have the money? Yeah, like I said, you can get money anytime from any place. You can work your ass off for it. Anyone can make money. But to have a consistent flow of money and in circulation through love is a completely different experience. And now I can like have $20 or $0 or 30 or 150 or 1,000. It doesn't matter. I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful because that zero doesn't mean that I don't have money. It means that I have received so much money and I've been so abundant that I have been able to give that money back out into circulation. I have been able to pay it forward. It has been able to go back in and out and with love. So those are the things I'm leaving with you guys today. And I trust that everything that has been shared here has supported you in one way or another. And, you know, what I would invite in is start with your day today. Situations that would normally trigger you, I want you to approach them with openness. Let's say you have a partner. I have a dear friend right now who's in a relationship and who's in a marriage, and it's challenging for her in some moments, as I'm sure it is with any marriage and any partners that go through trying times. And there are some experiences, just like I've had with my own relationships, and even with my parents sometimes, where they'll say something, the partner will say something, and we'll get frustrated. Be like, gosh, can you not just communicate clearly? Can you not just clearly state what you want? Or can you maybe just not complain all the time? Or, can you just grow up? Like, can you just take responsibility? That type of needing the person to do something different is not allowing in what you say you want. So if I say I want more affection, more attention, and more love from another person, but underneath, that's my conscious, remember, that's my conscious thinking, that's my conscious believing. But subconsciously, which is the emotional, you're very welcome, Mina, but my subconscious emotional is when that person approaches in the way that I don't like or I don't want, or in that moment, if I'm closed off, as I technically always have been, then when they say something, or they're in a different, or let's say they're emotionally upset, they're not having a good day, they're in pain, they're unwell, and I believe that that's affecting me, and I need them to change before I can let them in, then I am also in that time, in that moment, simultaneously reinforcing that I'm not available for their affection. I'm not available for their support. I'm not available for their love. Because just like money, if I reject them at any point in time, if I look at that situation through the lens of what they're lacking, I'm simply just taking my own internal state of lack and I'm using them as the canvas to project that on, which means I'm still projecting lack. So if I'm wanting to actually experience more love, more affection, more attention, then I decide that I am going to accept and love them and appreciate them no matter what. I'm going to look at these experiences, these events, and these interactions as an opportunity to simply just practice gratitude, to practice love, to practice being the source of joy, to practice being the source of love, to practice being the source of gratitude, to practice being the source of compassion. Because if I say I want that, but I am not the source of it, then I cannot therefore experience it through anyone, because everyone and anyone is the byproduct of what I believe. I am the frequency of that which I believe. So it's about, it's really easy. It's really easy to take what we've always been taught by society and say that those are the rules. But like, even when it comes to relationships, first and foremost, learn how to receive love through everything by being the source of love. Learn to receive money from anywhere and everywhere. No, not just money, support, gifts, anything, everything abundantly. Learn to receive the support of abundance from anywhere and everywhere by being that frequency, by being that. You don't have to get money from a job. You don't have to always have a specific, there's not just one source of income. And if you want to live abundantly, don't believe that you have to live on less. If you believe that you have to make ends meet, then you are still living in lack. Okay? Again, you do not have to do anything through control, through force. You do not have to save. I mean, like, all of these scarcity sabotaging mindset, this mental matrix of believing that if you don't prepare or if you don't work hard, that you will never be okay. That's a lie. But you first have to decide that that's the lie and the truth. Remember, what you say is true is true. And how you speak represents what you think to be true. I really think it's easy to make money. I think money comes from multiple sources, and I believe that money comes to me in large, decisive amounts, as does support, as does gifts, as does abundance, as does love. Like, I think that, I believe that, I act from that space. And so every single day, I literally interact with my reality. I literally interact with my reality from that place. So start to interact with your reality from a new truth. And it's going to sound and feel like a lie at first, because it has been the lie for so long. The truth to us has been that I can't trust people because they've left me or they've abandoned me, which means that one relationship then becomes all relationships. I have to work hard for money. Money is scarce. Having more than I need is bad, and only money is the root of all evil. Those have been the truths. So you have to start speaking from a different truth if you want to actually experience a different truth. And that truth is going to be what feels like a lie to the other version of yourself. So now, normally I would say, like, people would ask me a question and I would answer it from the old belief system, because if I answered it differently, I'd be like, man, I'm just lying to them. Like, if my mom or somebody asked me if let's say something easy, if my mom said, well, hey, did Bruiser go out last night to use the bathroom? And we're just having a conversation. And I was like, no, because that's true. Well, that's true to one version, but that's not true to another version. Just because I did not witness him physically walking outside last night in that version of my reality does not mean that he did not physically walk outside in another version of my reality. And I decided that I want to experience the version of my reality where he is walking outside. So therefore, I will answer from that version of my reality, not the version of my reality that I no longer choose to experience. So If I want to experience the version of reality where he is going outside, then that's where I answer from. If I want to experience the version of reality where money comes to me easily, then that's where I speak from. That's where I answer from. If I want to experience the version of reality where my relationships are easeful, where clients come easy, where I'm experiencing love and gratitude and appreciation, that's where I speak from. I don't speak from judgment. I don't speak from resentment. I don't speak from jealousy. I don't speak from those places. So learn to communicate your truth differently and learn to approach your reality as it is right now with love and appreciation. Okay, you guys, that's going to be the biggest foundational support that you can give yourself, is to learn to live in love with life as it is right now. And if you're living in love with everything as it is right now, because you're choosing that what you have right now is safe and what you have right now is enough, that you're enough, your financial support system is enough, that the relationship is enough. When you decide it's already enough, then you will receive more, but you have to decide now. Okay? All right, you guys, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention. If this has landed with you in any way, if you are new to my channel, please like and subscribe. I will also have information if you would like to work with me one-on-one. This is very similar to what I share with my clients and those that I'm working with. My one-on-one spots are also open and available. We will look at the parts of your life where you feel you're stuck and there's no movement, and you would like some extra support, guidance, and reflection. I'm not going to give you like some big mind-blowing tips or anything. Maybe they will be mind-blowing, but I want you to come into it with an awareness that you are the one that holds the power. I'm simply just a reminder of that power. I'm simply just reflecting back to you your capacity. You already have it in you. Okay, so if you're interested, just reach out. Like I said, all of that will be in the description below. And yes, thank you for tuning in. I love you guys. I appreciate you, and I will definitely more than likely be back here with you guys on Sunday, and I'm thinking about bringing another one in this week. If you guys have enjoyed it and would love to join me again, I would love to have you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. I'm so grateful you found it inspiring. And for those of you that find resistance in what I'm saying here, just remember, I want to say this really quickly. Something that Bruno said here is, you want to become a millionaire without sacrificing money, time, or energy. If the world worked that way, Japan, Singapore, and China wouldn't be where they are today. Good luck. I am not Japan, Singapore, and China in a state of debt, in a state of lack, in a state of war. I don't see lack, negativity, war. I don't see any of the things in that way. I am a millionaire because I see abundance everywhere. I am the collective collapsed into a frequency of individual expression. My choices are not a byproduct of what happens out there. I decide what happens, and therefore I experience the world based on what I decide. Whatever's happening in the countries that you listed in that way have nothing to do with me, because I have nothing to do with the state of lack. I have nothing to do with the state of limitation. I have nothing to do with the state of scarcity. I have nothing to do. I'm not trying to fix the world in that way. I've learned how to live the universal alignment of source from within myself, which means that I'm already embodying the millionaire state. I'm already living from that way. And once every single person learns how to live and love and alignment right now, then we will no longer have conversations in the way that you just expressed. Now, I'm not saying, I also want to say this, the universe is also based on the laws of cause and effect and the law of opposites. There's always going to be contrast. But here's the thing. Most people see contrast. They see, I'm going to use your example, Mina, and I hope you don't mind. They're going to see like wildfires, or not your example, but a part of your conversation. They're going to use wildfires. They're going to use floods. They're going to use war, and they're going to talk about it as if like, at least this is the way I approached it. If I don't do this work, if I don't improve myself, then there's always going to be war, and I have to create world peace. I've got to take care of people out there. I've got to improve the way that nature exists because of the floods, because of the wildfires, because of all the things, all the bad things happening out there. I need to go fix that, or I need to do things a certain way so that those things are better and those things are fixed. The universe exists on the law of opposites. It exists on contrast. It exists on positive and negative. It is not about not seeing or experiencing or facing those things. It's about how you choose to do so. I look at a wildfire and I see wildflowers. I look at a flood, I look at a tornado, and I see where rebuilding gets to happen. I see cleansing. I see purification. And I don't mean that in a spiritual woo-woo way. I choose to see what is happening through the lens of love, because I know as the source, all of that is a hallucination. I'm hallucinating in a dream, and none of it is final. None of it's final. None of it. And if I want to consistently live in alignment with source and with spirit and with God and with universe, I choose to see these things through the lens of love. I don't focus on the wars. How is that going to help anyone by me focusing on what I think someone is experiencing out there? Because I'm not out there. I'm in here. I'm in here. And so if I want to influence, if I really want to influence the collective frequency from a place of abundance and love, then I choose it right now. I see everything through the lens of love. I see everything through the lens of acceptance. I choose right now to be there in that state, because I know that what I'm witnessing out there is the past. Like, those wars are a byproduct of a past way of a collective perception, and I have played a role in that collective perception. I have been a part of that fear frequency. I have played a role, and I'm going to get to witness how I choose to think, feel, and believe about those events. But in truth, every event is neutral. No war is bad. No natural disaster is bad. There is not a bad wildfire. There's not a bad tornado. There's not a bad anything. It's just contrast. And how you approach the contrast is a direct correlation to how clear your frequency is. When your frequency is clear without distortion, then you do not see those things as bad or negative. You do not see them through the lens of, rigidity. It's just, okay, it's happening. It's an event. It's happening. But there's nothing wrong with the fact that it's happening, because what is happening is neutral to me. That's what I choose. That's my decision. That's my conviction. It's neutral to me. Now, if I want to become entangled from an emotional state, then I'm going to consciously and subconsciously attach to that and talk about all the things that are wrong and how bad it is and what I need to do and the things I need to fix. And then it's going to feel heavy, and I'm going to feel grief, and I'm going to feel sadness, and I'm going to start leaning into one side really deep, and I'm going to become excessively imbalanced. But I don't choose that. So when you are deciding, remember, it's an internal decision, not an external action. Exactly. Practicing to lean, coming into your center. You in your center are source. In your center, when you are here, it doesn't matter what's out there, man. You're just like, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not talking about that, like, that avoidance high vibe. No, you're feeling the grief, you're feeling the feelings, you have all the things that are coming up, because if you have been attached, if you have been trying to fix things from the outside in, then yes, you're going to feel things, you're going to feel emotions, and you're going to have a train of thought around events. But when you're choosing to be the center and the source, you allow that wave. It's a currency, right? We talk about money. Money's currency. Money passes through you based on the currency or the transmission of your frequency. And if your frequency is clear, then it's not muddled and it's not distorted with the subconscious attachments to what happens, because it doesn't matter what happens. Now you can assign meaning to what happens, and you can become attached to that, and you can remain in the story of what happens, and you will win at that game every single time. Or you can say, I no longer choose to make that mean what it's always meant. You know, I'm going to make this mean something different. And what is the worst thing that ever came from being grateful? So, remain in your center, remain convicted, decide on gratitude, decide on compassion, decide that it's already here right now. You don't need to go out there for fulfillment, right? Again, Mina and I, we've had some really powerful conversations this week. You do not have to go out there for fulfillment. Fulfillment, I'm fulfilled right now. I have a roof over my head, I have food in my belly. Even when I didn't, even when I was homeless, even if I was homeless again right now, I would be fulfilled. Because I know I have people that love me, because I know that no matter what, if I really, really wanted my life to look differently, I could get a job, I could do anything. I can always change my circumstances. No one is outside of that. We all are given the same opportunities in life, literally. No one is defined by their circumstances. Anyone can decide differently. And it is only those that want to remain the victim that will say that that's impossible. And that's okay too. But just remember, you can't save someone that constantly doesn't, that's pretending to want to be saved, but ultimately they just always want to be drowning. They want to be drowning because if they're drowning, they get that attention. They get that, oh, poor pitiful person. Oh my gosh, what can I do? Let me help you. Let me drop everything I'm doing. Let me do, you know. And there are people out there that just literally want to continue drowning. They don't really want to be saved. They don't want to save themselves. They don't want to wake up. And that's okay. But you have to let them experience that. I've learned that, especially in this line of work, because I have definitely tried to save people, and I've tried to wake people up, try to get people to see. And that's not the way. That's not the way. And what I've learned now is just being able to sit here and communicate and listen. Most importantly, listen and really receive a person, and then have a conversation with them. A lot of times a person doesn't even realize what they're saying until it's mirrored back. And that's also why you guys hear me talk about the power of mirroring. The mirror is not there to attack you. And the mirror is not there to make you feel bad. The mirror is not doing anything to you. The mirror is just a reflection of self. And so if you want to go into really seeing your life at all angles, not because you have to do a deep dive, but just in a conversation and looking at what areas you're not allowing yourself to decide on because you're still holding on to some subconscious attachments, that's really powerful. And that's not like doing deep dive work. That's just like a conversation or two. So yeah, if you guys are interested, reach out. I'm here to support you. I love you. Again, I appreciate this. And Bruno, I just want you to know, I'm not using your message to attack you or anything you said. I'm just showing as a point of reference. It's a really powerful tool to show that, you know, words represent beliefs, right? And if you're not choosing, if you're not, like, people either show up to these lives to really learn, or they're just trying to prove what they know so that they can argue what's being shared, or they can just like, oh, I know what you're talking about, I know what you're talking about, look, I know what you're talking about, like, I know what you're talking about, which means they're not here to actually receive. They're here to fight and to push back and to show off and to show out. And that's fine, but this is a space for learning, and it's, well, all spaces are. You can learn from anyone. So if you drop in here, I would invite an opportunity for you to do so from that place of like just letting yourself learn something new from information that you've already known. And the only way that can happen is if you're not showing up from, oh yeah, I know, I already know, I had that happen, oh, that's resonating, I'm already there, I already know that, you know, like, that's, you're not listening. You're not listening. You already had everything, you already knew everything before you stepped in. You're so welcome. I'm so grateful that it's landing, and I'm so grateful that you're learning. I'm so grateful that you're here too. I love that all of you guys have hung out and that you're still here, and I love that we're exchanging. Like, I'm so appreciative and grateful. Good. I'm happy to hear that, Mina. And it's, there are those individuals in our reality that will trigger that identity, where we have identified with our parents, we've identified with our relationships, we've identified with events, we've identified with circumstances, we've identified with things in such a way that they trigger. What that trigger is it's an impulse to go away from our center, as Mina said, and go into this thing and go into it and try to control it. And that's because for so long we've identified with it. We have become one with that, and we have become one with the meaning we've assigned, which technically we already were, but I'm just going to use that as a point of reference. So when I am one with the meaning, I believe more in the meaning I've assigned than I do in remaining present with myself. And another thing, I promise this is the last one, you guys. This is so important. Mina and I were having a conversation, and she had mentioned boredom. And something that she brought forward, which was just really powerful for me, and also something that was a good reminder, is that, boredom, just like a trigger, is when we're leaning away from presence, when we're wanting to chase after doing. So when I talk about you being the source and being in your center, that means you're the source of the power. You don't have to go after anything. You do not have to do anything to make your reality meet you differently. You do not have to physically go and rearrange something out here in order to see results. You just simply approach your life moment to moment differently. You're just simply interacting with the material of your reality. The material, it's like interacting with a script. You're just interacting with the script differently. That's the material. And since you're interacting with it differently, there's nothing you need to do about it to change it. It is already perfect. The material of your reality is already perfect. And when you start to see and feel yourself feeling like you need to go do something, like feeling bored, like you need to be doing something else, remember that's just you coming out of your center, out of your source of presence, and leaning into what you think you need to be doing about the material. Okay? And so when you come back into the center, you remember, I don't have to do anything about this. I just need to simply be in love with it. I just simply need to appreciate it. I just simply need to live in acceptance of the material right now. And then I will begin to see how I can then I'll begin to see how I can experience different versions of this material, because the material reality shows up differently, not by what you do out there, but how you envision it in here. So go in and play in your imagination and envision and decide on the new vision. You're the projector. Decide on the new vision, and then it is so. And reinforce that new vision every single day, and interact with the material that you're already living with, that you're already living in exchange with. Interact with that material from the place of it's already perfect, because you're already projecting the new material and it's on its way. So, hey baby. So that's really it for you guys. I gotta check on Boo Boo. He came up here. I really appreciate, like I said, I know I've said this a few times already, but I really appreciate your time and attention. I definitely look forward to seeing you guys. I'm planning on being here every Sunday with you, and I am feeling another one coming in this week where I will join you guys and we will have some more discussions and exchanges. So I love you. I appreciate you. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. And if you would like to join me this week, and again on Sunday, just plan on the same time for Sunday. And this week, hey baby, you want to say hi? You want to say hi to everybody? Hi baby. And if you want to join me this week, just be on the lookout for the post on Instagram and on here. Okay? All right, you guys. Until next time.